a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey is an American singer and songwriter. Referred to as the Songbird Supreme by the Guinness World Records, she is noted for her five-octave vocal range, vocal power, melismatic style, and signature use of the whistle register. After signing to Columbia Records, she released her debut album, Mariah Carey, which spawned 4 #1 singles on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart: Vision of Love, Love Takes Time, Someday, and I Don't Wanna Cry. She followed this chart success with the #1 single, Emotions, from the album of the same name, making her the first and only artist to have their first 5 singles reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Following her marriage to Sony music head Tommy Mottola, Carey became the label's highest-selling act with the albums Emotions music box, Merry Christmas, and Daydream. These albums spawned a string of successful singles including the international #1, Without You, holiday track, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and One Sweet Day, which became the longest-running US #1 single in history, with a total of 16 weeks. After divorcing Mottola, Carey adopted a new image and incorporated more elements of hip-hop into her music. With the release of Butterfly, Billboard named her the most successful artist of the 1990s in the United States, while World Music Awards honored her as the world's best-selling recording artist of the 1990s. Carey parted with Columbia in 2000 and signed a record-breaking $100 million recording contract with Virgin Records. In the weeks prior to the release of her film Glitter and its accompanying soundtrack in 2001, she suffered a physical and emotional breakdown and was hospitalized for severe exhaustion. The project was poorly received and led to a general decline in the singer's career. Carey's recording contract was bought out for $50 million by Virgin and she signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Island Records the following year. After a relatively unsuccessful period, she returned to the top of music charts with The Emancipation of Mimi. It became the world's second best-selling album of 2005 and produced We Belong Together, which made her the only artist to top the Billboard Hot 100 decade-end chart twice. Carey revived her film career with a supporting role in Precious, which earned her the Breakthrough Performance Award at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. Throughout her career, Carey has sold more than 200 million records worldwide, making her one of the best-selling music artists of all time. According to the RIAA, she is the 3rd best-selling female artist in the United States, with 63.5 million certified albums. With the release of Touch My Body, Carey gained her 18th #1 single in the United States, more than any other solo artist. In 2012, she was ranked 2nd on VH1's list of the 100 greatest female artists in music history. Aside from her commercial accomplishments, Carey has won 5 Grammy Awards, 19 World Music Awards, 10 American Music Awards, and 14 Billboard Music Awards, and has been consistently credited with inspiring a generation of singers. Early life. Mariah Carey was born in Huntington, New York. Her father, Alfred Roy Carey, was of African-American and Afro-Venezuelan descent, while her mother, Patricia, is of Irish descent. The last name Carey was adopted by her Venezuelan grandfather, Francisco Núñez, after he came to New York. Patricia was an occasional opera singer and vocal coach before she met Alfred in 1960. As he began earning a living as an aeronautical engineer, the couple wed later that year, and moved into a small suburb in New York. After their elopement, Patricia's family disowned her for marrying a black man. Carey later explained that growing up, she felt neglected by her maternal family, which greatly affected her. During the years between the births of Carey's older sister Allison and herself, the Carey family struggled within the community due to their ethnicity. Carey's name was derived from the song They Call the Wind Maria, originally from the 1951 Broadway musical Paint Your Wagon. When Carey was 3, her parents divorced. After their separation, Allison moved in with her father, while the other 2 children, Mariah and brother Morgan, remained with their mother. Carey would grow apart from her father, and would later stop seeing him altogether. By the age of 4, Carey recalled that she had begun to sneak the radio under her covers at night, and just sing and try to find peace within the music. During elementary school, she excelled in subjects that she enjoyed, such as music, art, and literature, but did not find interest in others. After several years of financial struggles, Patricia earned enough money to move her family into a stable and more affluent sector in New York. Carey had begun writing poems and adding melodies to them, thus starting as a singer-songwriter while attending Harborfields High School in Grion Lawn, New York, where she graduated in 1987. Carey excelled in her music, and demonstrated usage of the whistle register, though only beginning to master and control it through her training with her mother. Though introducing her daughter to classical opera, Patricia never pressured her to pursue a career in it, as she never seemed interested. Carey recalled that she kept her singer-songwriter works a secret and noted that Patricia had never been a pushy mum. She never said, "Give it more of an operatic feel. I respect opera like crazy, but it didn't influence me." While in high school, Carey began writing songs with Gavin Christopher. They needed an assistant who could play the keyboard. We called someone, and he couldn't come, so by accident we stumbled upon Ben Margulies. Ben came to the studio, and he really couldn't play the keyboards very well. He was really more of a drummer, but after that day, we kept in touch, and we sort of clicked as writers. Carey and Christopher began writing and composing songs in the basement of his father's store during Carey's senior year. After composing their first song together, Here We Go Round Again, which Carey described as having a Motown vibe, they continued writing material for a full-length demo. She began living in a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan, which she shared with 4 other female students. Carey worked as a waitress for various restaurants, usually getting fired after 2 weeks. While requiring work to pay for her rent, Carey still had musical ambitions, as she continued working late into the night with Margulies in hopes of completing a demo. After completing her 4-song demo tape, Carey attempted to pass it to music labels, but failed each time. Shortly thereafter, she was introduced to rising pop singer Brenda K. Starr. 1988-1992, Mariah Carey and Emotions. As Starr's friendship with Carey grew, so did her interest in helping Carey succeed in the industry. In December 1988, Carey accompanied Starr to a record executives gala, where she handed her demo tape to the head of Columbia Records, Tommy Mottola, who listened to it on his way back home. After the first 2 songs, he was interested in her. Later, after searching for Carey for 2 weeks, he immediately signed her and began mapping out her commercial debut. While she maintained that she wanted to continue working with Margulies, Mottola enlisted top producers of the time, including Rick Wake, Narada Michael Walden, and Rhett Lawrence. Mottola and the staff at Columbia had planned to market Carey as their main female pop artist, competing with Whitney Houston and Madonna. After the completion of her debut album, Mariah Carey, Columbia spent more than $1 million promoting it. Despite a weak start, the album eventually reached the top of the Billboard 200. After Carey's exposure at the 33rd Annual Grammy Awards, Mariah Carey stayed atop the charts for 11 consecutive weeks, and she won the Best New Artist and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance awards for her single, Vision of Love. In addition to Vision of Love, the album yielded the Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles, Love Takes Time, Someday, and I Don't Wanna Cry. Carey became the first musical act since the Jackson 5 to have their first 4 singles reach #1. Mariah Carey finished as the best-selling album in the United States in 1991, while totaling sales of over 15 million copies. Carey began recording her second studio album, Emotions, in 1991. She described it as an homage to Motown soul music, as she felt the need to pay tribute to the type of music that had influenced her as a child. For the project, Carey worked with Walter Afanasieff, who only had a small role on her debut, as well as Robert Civiles and David Cole, from the dance group CNC Music Factory. Carey's relationship with Margulies deteriorated over a personal contract Carey had signed with him before signing the record deal with Columbia, agreeing to split not only the songwriting royalties from the songs, but half of her earnings as well. However, when the time came to write music for Emotions, Sony officials made it clear he would only be paid the fair amount given to co-writers on an album. Margulies later filed a lawsuit against Sony which ultimately led to their parting of ways. Emotions was released on September 17, 1991, and was accepted by critics as a more mature album than its predecessor. While praised for Carey's improved songwriting, production, and new sound, the album was criticized for its material, thought weaker than that of her debut. Though the album managed sales of over 8 million copies globally, Emotions failed to reach the commercial and critical heights of its predecessor. As after the release of her debut, critics again questioned whether Carey would embark on a world tour to promote her material. Although Carey explained that stage fright and the style of her songs made it to a very daunting, speculation grew that Carey was a studio worm, and that she was incapable of producing the perfect pitch and 5-octave vocal range for which she was known. In hopes of putting to rest any claims of her being a manufactured artist, Carey and Walter Afanasieff decided to book an appearance on MTV Unplugged, a television program aired by MTV. The show presented name artists, unplugged, or stripped of studio equipment. While Carey favored her more soulful and powerful songs, it was decided that her most popular content would be included. Days before the show's taping, Carey and Afanasieff thought of adding a cover version of an older song, in order to provide something different and unexpected. They chose "I'll Be There," a song made popular by the Jackson 5 in 1970. On March 16, 1992, Carey recorded a 7-piece set list at Kaufman Astoria Studios in Queens, New York. The review was met with critical acclaim, leading to it being aired more than 3 times as often as an average episode would. The success tempted Sony officials to market it. Sony decided to release it as an EP, priced low, because it was short. The EP proved to be a success, contrary to critics and speculations that Carey was just a studio artist, and was given a triple platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, and managed gold and platinum certifications in several European markets. 1993, 1996, Music Box and Daydream. During early 1993, Carey began working on her third studio album, Music Box, after Emotions failed. To achieve the commercial heights of her debut album, Carey and Columbia came to the agreement that the next album would contain a more pop-influenced sound, in order to appeal to a wider audience. During Carey's writing sessions, she began working mostly with Afanasieff, with whom she co-wrote and produced most of Music Box. On August 31, Music Box was released around the world, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200. The album was met with mixed reception from music critics. While many praised the album's pop influence and strong content, others felt that Carey made less usage of her acclaimed vocal range. Ron Wynn from AllMusic described Carey's different form of singing on the album. It was wise for Carey to display other elements of her approach, but sometimes excessive spirit is preferable to an absence of passion. The album's second single, Hero, would eventually come to be one of Carey's most popular and inspirational songs of her career. The song became Carey's 8th chart topper in the United States, and began expanding Carey's popularity throughout Europe. With the release of the album's third single, Carey achieved several career milestones. Her cover of Badfinger's "Without You" became her first number 1 single in Germany, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. Music Box spent prolonged periods at number 1 on the album charts of several countries, and eventually became one of the best-selling albums of all time, with worldwide sales of over 28 million copies. After declining to tour for her past 2 albums, Carey agreed to embark on a short stateside string of concerts, titled the Music Box Tour, spanning only 6 states across North America. The short, but successful tour was a large step for Carey, who dreaded the hassle of touring. Following Music Box, Carey took a relatively large period of time away from the public eye, and began working on an unknown project throughout 1994. In October 1994, Billboard announced that Carey would release a holiday album later that year. That 1994, Carey recorded a duet with Luther Vandross, a cover of Lionel Richie and Diana Ross, "Endless Love." Carey's album Merry Christmas was released on November 1, 1994. On the same day that the album's first single, All I Want for Christmas Is You, was released, the album eventually became the best-selling Christmas album of all time, with global sales reaching over 15 million copies. Upon its release, All I Want for Christmas Is You was critically praised, and is considered one of the few worthy modern additions to the holiday canon. Rolling Stone described it as a holiday standard, and ranked it fourth on its greatest rock and roll Christmas songs list. Commercially, it became the best-selling holiday ringtone of all time, and the best-selling single by a non-Asian artist in Japan, selling over 2.1 million units. By the end of the holiday season of 1994, Carey and Afanasieff had already begun writing material for her next studio album, which would be released late the following year. Released on October 3, 1995. Daydream combined the pop sensibilities of Music Box with downbeat R&B and hip-hop influences. The album's second single, One Sweet Day, was inspired by the death of David Cole. The song remained atop the Hot 100 for a records holding 16 weeks, and became the longest-running #1 song in history. Daydream became her biggest-selling album in the United States, and became her second album to be certified diamond by the RIAA, following Music Box. The album again was the best-seller by an international artist in Japan, shipping over 2.2 million copies, and eventually reaching global sales of over 20 million copies. Critically, the album was heralded as Carey's best to date. The New York Times named it one of 1995's best albums, and wrote, "Best cuts bring R&B candy making to a new peak of textural refinement. Carey's songwriting has taken a leap forward and become more relaxed, sexier, and less reliant on thudding cliches." Carey once again opted to embark on a short world tour titled Daydream World Tour. It had 7 dates, 3 in Japan and 4 throughout Europe. When tickets went on sale, Carey set records when all 150,000 tickets for her 3 shows at Japan's largest stadium, Tokyo Dome, sold out in under 3 hours, breaking the previous record held by the Rolling Stones. Due to the album's success, Carey won 2 awards at the American Music Awards for her solo efforts, Favorite Pop/Rock Female Artist, and Favorite Soul/R&B Female Artist. Daydream and its singles were respectively nominated in 6 categories at the 38th Grammy Awards. Carey, along with Boyz II Men, opened the event with a performance of One Sweet Day. However, Carey did not receive any award, prompting her to comment, "What can you do? I will never be disappointed again. After I sat through the whole show and didn't win once, I can handle anything." In 1995, due to Daydream's enormous Japanese sales, Billboard declared Carey the Overseas Artist of the Year in Japan. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?